It's day 6 of trying to read and pronouncing clearly with pen in my mouth for better vocal clarity. So let's start. So we are reading the book Atomic Habits and we are at chapter 3. So let's start with the science of how habits work. The process of building a habit can be divided into four simple steps. First is cue, second craving, response and reward. Cue, craving, response and reward. Breaking it down into these fundamental parts can help us understand what does a habit is, how it works and how to improve it. The four-step pattern is the backbone of every habit and your brain runs through these steps in the same order each time. First, there is a cue. Cue is a trigger. Trigger your brain help to initiate a behavior. It is a bit of information that predicts a reward. Our prehistoric ancestors, our prehistoric ancestors were paying attention to cues that were signaled the location of the primary rewards like food, water, and sex. Today, we spend most of our time learning cues that predict secondary rewards like money and fame, power and status, praise and approval, love and friendship, or sense of personal satisfaction. Of course, these pursuits also indirectly improve our odds of survival and reproduction, which is the deeper motive behind everything we do. Your mind is continuously analyzing your internal and external environment for hints of where rewards are located. Because the cue is the first indication that we are close to a reward. It naturally leads to a craving. Cravings are the second steps. Are the second step. They are the motivational force behind every habit. Without some level of motivation or desire, without a craving change, we have no reason to act. What you crave is not the habit itself, but the change instead it delivers. You do not crave smoking a cigarette. You crave the feeling of relief it provides. You are not motivated by brushing your teeth, but rather by the feeling of a clean mouth. You do not want to turn you on television. You want to be entertained. Every craving is linked to a desire to change your internal state. This is an important point that we will discuss in detail later. Cravings differ from person to person. In theory, any piece of information could trigger a craving, but in practice, people are not motivated by same cues. For a gambler, the sound of slot machine can be a potent trigger that sparks an intense wave of desire. For someone who rarely gambles, the jingles and chimes of casino are just background noise. Cues are meaningless until they are interpreted. The thoughts, feelings, and emotions of the observer are, are what transform a cue into craving. The third step is the response. The response is an actual habit you perform, 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 which can take the form of a thought or an action. Whether a response occurs depends on how motivated you are and how much friction is associated with the behavior. If a particular action requires more physical or mental effort than you are willing to expend, then you won't do it. Your your response also depends on your ability. It sounds simple, it sounds simple, but a habit can occur only if you are capable of doing it. If you want a dunk, if you want to dunk a basketball, but can't jump high enough to reach the hoop. Well, you are out of luck. Finally, the response delivers a reward. Rewards are the end goal of every habit. The cue is about noticing the reward. The craving is about wanting the reward. The response is about obtaining the reward. We chase rewards because they serve two purposes. They satisfy us, and second, they teach us. The first purpose of reward is to satisfy your craving. Yes, rewards provide the benefits of their own. Food and water deliver the energy you need to survive. Getting a promotion brings more money and respect. Getting in shape improves your health and dating prospects. But the most immediate benefit is that rewards satisfy your craving to eat and to gain status or to win approval. At least for a moment, rewards deliver contentment and relief from craving. Secondly, rewards teach us which actions are worth remembering in the future. Your brain is reward detector. As you go about your life, your sensory nervous system is continuously monitoring which actions satisfy your desire and pleasure. Feelings of pleasure and disappointment are a part of feedback mechanism that helps your brain distinguish useful action from useless one. Rewards close the feedback loop and complete the habit. If a behavior is insufficient in any of the four stages, it will not come a habit. It will not become a habit. Eliminate the cue and your habit will never start. Reduce the craving and you won't experience enough motivation to act. Make the behavior difficult and you won't be able to do it. And if the reward fails to satisfy your desire, then you will have no reason to do it again in in the future. Without the first 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 three steps, a behavior will not occur. Without all four, a behavior will not be repeated. The habit loop: cue, craving, response, reward. In summary, the cue triggers a craving, which motivates response, which provides a reward, which satisfies the craving and ultimately becomes associated with the cue. Together, these four steps form a neurological feedback loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. Cue, craving, response, reward that immediately allows you to create automatic habit. This cycle is known as habit loop. This four-step process is not something that helps occasionally, but rather it is an endless feedback loop that is running and active during every moment you are alive. Even now, the brain is continually scanning the environment, predicting what will happen next, trying out different responses, and learning from the results. The entire process is completed in a split of second, and we use it again and again without realizing everything that has slipped back into the previous moment. We can split these four steps into two phases: the problem phase and the solution phase. The problem phase includes the cue and the craving, and it is when you realize that something needs to change. The solution phase includes the response and the reward, and it is when you take action and achieve the change you desire. All behavior is driven by the desire to solve a problem, problem, problem. Sometimes the problem is that you notice something good and you want to obtain it. Sometimes the problem is that you are experiencing the pain and you want to relieve it. Either way, the purpose of every habit is to solve the problems you face. In the table on the following page, you can see that few examples of what this looks like in real example. Imagine looking into a dark room and flipping the light switch on the right switch. You have performed this simple habit so many times that it occurs without thinking. You proceed through all four stages in the fraction of second. The urge to act strikes you without thinking. By the time you become adults, we rarely notice that habits are running are running out our lives. Most of us never uh, give a second thought to the fact that we tied the same shoe first each morning and unplugged the toaster after each use and always change into comfortable clothes after getting home from work. After decades of mental programming, we automatically slip into these patterns of thinking and acting. So we will see the four laws of behavior change now. Yeah. In the following chapter, we will see the time and again. We will see time and again how the four stages of cue, craving, response, and reward influence nearly everything we do each day. Before before we do that, we need to transform these four steps into a practical framework that we can use to design a good habit and eliminate the bad ones. I refer to this framework as the four laws of behavior change, and it provides a simple set of rules for creating good habits and breaking bad ones. You can think each law as a lever that never influences behavior. When the levers are right at the levers are in the right positions, creating good habits is effortless. When these are at in the wrong position, it is nearly impossible. So how to create love habit? First law is cue, making it obvious. Second law, craving, making it attractive. Third law, response, making it easy. Fourth law, reward, making it satisfying. We invert this law to learn how to break a bad habit. Inversion of first law, make it invisible. Inversion of second law, make it unattractive. Inversion of third law, make it difficult. Inversion of fourth law, make it unsatisfying. That's it. It would be irresponsible for me to claim that these four laws are an exhaustive framework for changing any human behavior, but I think they are close. You will soon see the four laws of behavior apply to nearly every field, from sports to politics, arts to medicine, comedy to management. These laws can be used no matter what challenge you are facing. There is no need for completely different strategies for each habit. Whenever you want to change your behavior, you can simply ask yourself, can I make it obvious, obvious? How can I make it attractive? How can I make it easy? How can I make it satisfying? If you have ever wondered, why don't I Why don't I do what I say I am going to do? Why don't I lose the weight or stop smoking or save for retirement or start the side business? Why do I say something is important but never seem to make time for it? The answer to those questions can be found somewhere in the four laws. The key is to create the key to creating good habits and breaking bad ones is to understand these fundamental laws and how to alter them to your specifications. Every goal is doomed to fail if it goes against the grain of human nature. Your habits are shaped by the systems in your life. In the chapter that follow, we will discuss the laws one by one and show how you can use them to create a system in which good habits emerge naturally and bad habits wither away. So that's it for today. Thank you.